Far Cry has taken us to exotic islands, Himalayan civil wars, American cults, and even trippy tropical nightmares. But in 2016, Ubisoft did something completely unexpected. No guns, no cars, no modern anything, just the Stone Age. This is Far Cry Primal. It's a game set 10,000 years ago in the land of Oros, and it's filled with saber-toothed tigers, mammoths, rival tribes, and the fight for survival. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most underrated entries in the Far Cry series, maybe even one of the most bold. We will explore its story, gameplay, mechanics, world design, the characters, and what makes this prehistoric plunge surprisingly unforgettable. And by the end, I'll be giving you my personal score of this game, rating it out of 10. You play as Takar, a hunter and the last surviving member of a Wenger hunting party after a mammoth hunt goes horribly wrong. Lost and alone, Takar stumbles into the mysterious and dangerous land of Oros. His mission? Survive and rebuild the shattered Wenger tribe. But Oros isn't just a beautiful backdrop, it's a fully realized ecosystem. A place where every creature fights to survive, and that includes you. From wolves stalking in packs to roaming mammoths, the land feels alive, ancient, and utterly indifferent to your presence. Takar quickly learns that there are two powerful tribes fighting for dominance, the Udam and the Izila. The Udam are brutal, cannibalistic survivors of a dying race, literally. They're infected with a wasting disease, clinging to survival through conquest. Led by Ul, their existence is one of fear and hunger. The Izila, by contrast, are the high priests of fire. They are more technologically advanced, using flame and structure to dominate. Their cities rise with stone and worship, and their warriors are better equipped and strategically superior. Batari, their leader, is no brute. She's an enthusiast and a tactician. Her power lies not in just violence, but in control over faith and fear. Where Ul represents desperation, Batari represents order and ideology. If Ul is primary instinct, Batari is social evolution twisted by ideology. These two aren't just enemies, they're symbols of opposing human impulses. This sets up a three-way conflict: the savage, the spiritual, and the civilized. And you, as Takar, must rise from mere hunter to tribal leader, uniting scattered Wenger survivors, forging alliances, taming beasts, and ultimately confronting both Ul and Batari to reclaim Oros. The structure of the story is quest-based, but layered. Each mission feels tied to a broader mythic journey. You're not just taking down camps, you're reenacting the birth of civilization. When you rescue a specialist or build a hut, you're not just upgrading, you're restoring culture. The central progression of the Wenger's village is a visual storytelling device. As you complete missions, the population grows, huts rise, fires burn longer, a literal representation of hope returning to the people. It's subtle, but deeply rewarding. Even the main confrontations with Ul and Batari are crafted with weight. Ul's last moments reveal his motivations. He was trying to save his sick people, even if it meant war. He dies begging you to spare his children. It's raw, tragic, and almost sympathetic. You see a character destroyed by necessity, by nature, not by ambition. Batari, in contrast, chooses death over defeat. Her end is theatrical, ritualistic. She burns in a pyre of her own making, consumed by the fire she once controlled. It's a climactic end not just for a villain, but for a worldview. The fall of control and blind faith. Her refusal to surrender reflects how ideology, when taken to the extreme, can become self-destructive. And it all unfolds without a single English word. The fictional language, created by real linguists, immerses you deeper. You feel the emotion, the screams, the chants, the rage, because the animation and sound design carry it. It's a reminder that a story doesn't need words to be powerful. Far Cry Primal's narrative isn't plot heavy, but it's thematic. It's about identity, belonging, and the roots of your power. It's about what it means to lead, to tame, and to protect. And unlike most Far Cry games, where you're an outsider disrupting a system, here you build a system. You grow something. That's rare. By the end, Takar becomes more than just a man with a spear. He becomes myth. His name echoes in the chants of the Wenja, in the flames that light the village, and in the eyes of every beast that now walks beside him. He's not just the Beastmaster, he's the rebirth of his people. Far Cry Primal's story may not be everyone's favourite, but it has a unique rhythm, one rooted in survival, in silence, and in symbol. And for that reason, it deserves to be looked at not just as a sidestep for the series, but as a bold experiment in narrative design, a primitive legend told in language older than words. Far Cry Primal swaps rifles for bows and spears, grenades for bee-bombs, and radios for owl scouts, and yet it still feels very much like Far Cry, but primal. At its core, gameplay revolves around survival and domination. You hunt to gather resources, craft new weapons, and build out your village. There are no guns, so you rely on bows, clubs, and spears, each with upgrade paths. These weapons feel brutal and grounded, especially in first person. A direct hit with a spear has real weight to it. But the true evolution here is the Beastmaster system. After a vision quest with Tensay, you gain the ability to tame wild animals, and this isn't just a gimmick. You can command wolves, saber-tooths, bears, and even a cave lion to attack the enemies, scout ahead, or simply follow you around. Each beast has its own stats and perks, and managing them adds real depth. Your owl becomes a prehistoric drone, letting you tag enemies, drop bombs, or even dive bomb unsuspecting guards. It's a brilliant blend of Far Cry's recon mechanics with the world's ancient tools. Stealth remains a viable and often rewarding playstyle. Tall grass, silent bows, and animal distractions allow for creative infiltration. Camps and outposts feel familiar to fans of the series, but the lack of modern tools makes each encounter even more intense. Crafting is central. You'll constantly be gathering materials, wood, stone, animal hides, to improve gear or unlock upgrades. Some may find this repetitive, but it reinforces the survival loop and makes each new region feel necessary to explore. Speaking of exploration, Oros is stunning. Dense forest, snow peaks, swamps, and cave systems. Each biome hosts unique wildlife and threats. Dynamic weather and a full day-night cycle enhance immersion. At nighttime, that's when the predators come out. It's tense, dangerous, and encourages you to plan your hunts wisely. There's a light RPG system, with skill trees split into categories like beast mastery, combat, gathering, and survival. Progression is satisfying, especially as your tribe grows and your influence over Oros expands. Side missions vary, rescuing Wenja, hunting rare beasts, eliminating enemy patrols, and while some can feel formulaic, they tie so well into the overall goal, rebuilding your tribe and proving your dominance in this unforgiving land. One of the standout features is the sense of presence. The way your weapons sway, how animals react, the harsh sound design, it immerses you fully. You can feel the mud, the cold, the breath of a saber-tooth just before it pounces. It's sensory storytelling through gameplay. Another cool addition is the use of a special vision mode, a sort of hunter's instinct. It's a gameplay mechanic that allows you to track animals, highlight objectives, and uncover hidden clues in the environment. It brings to mind the thermal vision from the original Far Cry, but here it's done in a more grounded and thematic way. It doesn't feel like tech, it feels like instinct. The visual effect is raw and gritty, like your senses are being heightened in real time. And considering this game lacks any high-tech gadgets, the mechanic fills that space perfectly while trying to stay true to the Stone Age immersion. One more thing worth mentioning is riding mammoths. Yes, you can ride mammoths in this game, and it's as fun as it sounds. These towering beasts give you a sense of power and mobility like nothing else in this game. Charging through enemy camps, trampling foes, or simply exploring wild terrain from atop a living tank is not just novelty, but is genuinely helpful. They're especially great for tougher battles or when you need a break from the stealth and want to unleash chaos. If there's a critique to be made, it's repetition. Some missions feel too similar, and without traditional Far Cry villains constantly in your face, the momentum can dip. But the immersive mechanics, beast variety, and handcrafted world more than make up for it. Far Cry Primal doesn't just strip away guns. It reimagines what power and survival means in a world where fire is the ultimate weapon. It rewards patience, precision, and primal instinct. And for a game that could have easily felt like a Far Cry 4 reskin, it ends up feeling surprisingly fresh. Let's talk about the characters, because despite the prehistoric setting and language barrier, a lot of personality shines through. The Wenja tribe feels alive thanks to characters like Sayla, who grounds the tribe with grief and wisdom, and Tensay, the eccentric shaman whose visions and rituals shape much of your journey. They're strange, scared, and believable. What really stood out were the two characters you capture from the enemy tribes, one from the fire-obsessed Izila, and one from the brutal Udam. It was a cool narrative move, showing that not everyone blindly follows their tribe's beliefs. It gave the world distinction, that even among enemies, individuals could choose a different path. These characters don't speak English, but they speak through action, tone, and presence. Through gestures, grunts, and fire-lit monologues, they manage to say more than many modern protagonists. This is something I feel Far Cry 2 failed to do, where they had many different characters involved, but unfortunately meant nothing to the story or to you, whereas here, a genuine connection is created as everyone's involved. Far Cry Primal's characters are raw archetypes of fear, ambition, spirituality, and survival, etched into the earliest days of human conflict. In my opinion, Far Cry Primal is the first in the series where boss fights actually feel like boss fights. In earlier titles, antagonists like Vars or Pagan Min were iconic, but the defeats came down to cutscenes or scripted moments. Here, you fight them. All and Batari are actual endgame encounters. All's battle is gritty and enclosed, echoing his brute force and desperation, while Batari's is chaotic and fiery, reflecting her cult leader status and the ceremonial intensity of the Izila. These battles demanded strategy, timing, and survival instinct. You feel like you've earned these wins after hours of struggle. Facing them in combat rather than in a cutscene makes the resolution feel more deserved and more primal. Far Cry Primal may not have cities or vehicles or neon explosions, but what it does have is nature, and it uses it like a weapon. Oros is one of the most visually distinct worlds in the series. Lush green forests, icy mountain passes, swamps that feel thick with humidity, it all feels raw and untamed. There's no mini-map clutter, no city skyline, just you, the wilderness, and everything that wants to kill you. The lighting is especially stunning. From golden hour sunrises to moonlit ambushes under howling winds, every biome feels handcrafted and different, with creatures and tribes changing depending on where you go. There's no music sometimes, just the rustle of leaves, distant roars, or the crunch of snow beneath your feet. It's not just pretty, it's atmospheric. Oros feels real, and it adds to the isolation, the danger, and the thrill of survival. Far Cry Primal stands out because it dares to be different. We've explored its story, a raw tale of survival and tribal conflict, and spiritual rebirth. We've looked at characters, from Sayla's grounded strength to Tensai's madness, and even the surprising depth added by captured enemies from rival tribes. The gameplay is wild and creative, offering tools that feel brutal, handmade, and satisfying. Boss fights finally feel like boss fights, and the world itself, from dense forests to firelit battlefields, is a massive part of what makes the experience special. Visually and atmospherically, Primal is breathtaking, and while it doesn't reinvent open world structure, it commits so hard to its concept that it rarely matters. Sure, it lacks some variety in mission design, and the pacing could get repetitive for some, especially with the slow beginning. There's also no real modern weaponry or fast vehicles, things Far Cry fans might miss, but that's kind of the point. It's a game that knew what it wanted to be, a full immersion into a time before modern war, where survival, nature, and ritual ruled everything, and for that ambition alone, it deserves credit. Overall, I'd give Far Cry Primal a 9.3 out of 10. It's a bold, beautiful experiment in one of Ubisoft's most formula-driven franchises, and honestly, one of the most underrated entries in the entire series. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time for Far Cry 5.